As promised in the previous lecture, let's go into the immune system in further detail in Lecture 8 of our module. Before we begin, let's go into the structure of the immune system. The immune system is divided into two types. There is the innate and the adaptive immune system. The innate immune system, innate immunity, are defenses that are active but non-specified. Because of this, they can't maintain immunological memory. Adaptive immunity, on the other hand, is one that takes time to activate, but are specific to antigens and pathogens. They maintain immunological memory for future use. If you're wondering, this is how vaccinations work. Of those two divisions, let's go into the first one into a little bit more detail. On the left of this diagram are cells that would constitute the innate immune system. Often, these two are marked as rapid response and slow response, as the diagram states. There are some components to the innate immune system, and they're listed to the bottom left. All of these should be fairly self-explanatory in terms of their function. If you're unfamiliar with what an interferon is, it's simply something that cells produce to inhibit the replication of viruses and proteins. When a cell feels like it is being taken over or under duress, it'll start to secrete interferons that help to slow down the synthetic processes. Often, the innate immune system is considered the first line of defense. In the picture on the right are some better descriptions as to what these topical layers do. There are some non-specific defenses that are present within cells. Macrophages ingest pathogens and secrete cytokines. They basically consume anything that is foreign, so they're not terribly specific with what they take in. MHC1 are present on all nucleated cells, and they display endogenous antigens for cytotoxic T cells to go after. This is often called the endogenous pathway, because markers from within the cell are placed on the outside of the cell to tag the cell for consumption and degradation. MHC2 cells, on the other hand, are present in only professional antigen-presenting cells. They also display exogenous antigens for helper T cells to utilize. Because it starts from the outside, this is often called the exogenous pathway. Other non-specific cell mechanisms include the dendritic cells, which are antigen-presenting cells in the skin, natural killer cells, which present and kill any cell that is not presenting the proper MHC molecules, and granulocytes. The functions of granulocytes are listed below. Eosinophils in particular participate in allergic reactions along with basophils. When you have an improper allergic reaction, these are the cells that are largely causing the issue. So we talked about the rapid response. Let's go into the slow response, the adaptive immune system. Examples of these types of cells are listed on the right. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have taken an immunology class or a virology course where you went into more detail on this. For the intents and purposes of the MCAT, you don't need to have as deep of an understanding. Humoral immunity is centered on antibody production by plasma cells and activation of B cells. This largely involves the use of antibodies, which target specific antigens. Antibodies are shaped like Ys, like so. Antibodies have a region that's specified for a specific antigen. Because of this, they can tailor themselves for this purpose. And the cells in the immune system are going to remember what this is so that they can differentiate to accommodate for a later infection. This is where memory B cells come into play. They wait for secondary exposure to a pathogen and allows for a more rapid response. Because of this, a secondary infection is going to be dealt with in a much more prompt manner than a first. Cell-mediated or cytotoxic immunity is centered on T cell function rather than B cell function. These T cells respond to MHC signals to kill cells that are virally infected. And, like memory B cells, memory T cells have an innate memory to allow for rapid response in a later infection cycle. If you want to keep these straight, just remember that T cells are cytotoxic and B cells rely on antibodies. When you have an autoimmune condition, it simply states that the self-antigen, or cells within yourself naturally, are recognized as foreign, causing an immune system attack on cells that would be otherwise considered normal. Allergic reactions are when non-threatening exposures cause inflammatory responses. This is why you get runny noses, swelling, rashes, etc. A passive immunity is the passing of antibodies to an individual. This can be done via vaccinations, or when it comes to maternal-infant relationships, the mother can transfer these sorts of immunities to the fetus she's carrying. For the last bit of this lecture, let's go into the lymphatic system. Below is a diagram of what the lymphatic system constitutes. Fundamentally, the lymphatic system is a circulatory system that consists of one-way vessels with periodic lymph nodes. It connects to the cardiovascular system through the thoracic duct. There are three major functions of the lymphatic system. First and foremost, it equalizes fluid distribution. It does so because when you look at the tissues in the body, they are permeated by lymphatic capillaries. When there's excess fluid or too little fluid, these lymphatic capillaries will accommodate and equalize the fluid. It also transports fats and fat-soluble compounds in chylomicrons throughout the body. And it also allows for immune responses by letting the immune system travel through its capillaries to the site in question. As you can see, the immune system is incredibly important for biological life. It protects us and keeps us safe from pathogens and infections.